playoffs.
Right.
Gotta get that ring in the playoffs. Still Poddable in the playoffs. Still Poddable. The Boston Celtics still Poddable. Banner 18.
These are all dogs. Ridiculous. Playoffs beat the heat, you gotta know. Let's go Celtics, let's go. Come on, motherfucking Celtics, let's go.
Welcome back to Still Poddable. We are coming to you live from the 9th floor after the Celtics win Game 2 of the NBA Finals to take a 2-0 series lead in what was a pretty gritty, grimy game. Very close in the first half. The Celtics pull away in the third quarter, maybe try to blow it up 12 with 4 minutes left, but no, sir. Derek White would not have any of that. Comes down with the monster block, basically to seal the entire game. That Luka Doncic fellow just didn't really show up in the second half, and I'm joined by the Mick Man. The Mick Man, Celtics fan, known wise gentleman. Coley, how you feeling after that Game 2 victory?
I feel like it's the first time I've breathed. Like, I just hate playoff basketball so much. It's so stressful. I don't enjoy it at all.
This one felt a little bit less stressful to me because it was so ugly in the first half. Then his stress really built, and then as soon as the fourth quarter, I was just standing up and kind of nervously pacing around here. But the winning part was very cool, Coley. I enjoyed that a lot.
Massive fan of the winning part. People, I just tweeted this, like, I get yelled at all game. How are you talking about the refs? How are you talking about the refs? Shut up about the refs. And then Jalen, like, barely touches PJ on the back, and everyone's like, well, the refs clearly decided this game. It's like, shut the fuck up. How does that sound?
I thought Tatum was harassed the entire game. But foul trouble was actually like a interesting part of it. The Celtics just didn't make a three basically in the first half, and were managed to stay in this game by winning the free throw margin. The Mavericks refused to make free throws, which was a bad strategy choice by them. But I really thought the Celtics at getting to the free throw line, the Mavericks felt like they came into this game and was like, we're going to be as aggressive as possible. Resulted in a lot of fouls, and I think that kept them in the game in the first half.
Yeah, for sure. And even going back to the nerves part, like, when it was like Mavs were up 6, Celtics were up 2, going back and forth, I was for some reason way more comfortable in that scenario. When we got up, what was it, 14 was the biggest, something like that?
Yeah.
That's when I was like, I just kept looking at the clock, and it seemed like they were adding time to the clock. I don't know if you saw that too, but it was like, how are there still 6 minutes left in the fourth? Like, it feels like this game should be closer to done, and it just wasn't. And so that the last 6 minutes of the fourth quarter took at least 3 years of my life.
Yeah, because when it was like a closer game, I felt like, oh, the Celtics are just going to go on a, like, if they hit 3 threes here, like the game will be over. Let's go on the run. Sam Hauser tried to do it himself and missed 3 very good looks. And it just kind of like they slowly built up the lead there in the third quarter, and it just felt like the Mavericks just did not have a real solution. Everything the Mavericks do is it's just like Luka and Kyrie trying to make very difficult 2-point shots. And the Celtics, I think the Mavericks did a very good job of taking away the threes tonight, but that was also just allowing Drew can just hang out in the dunker spot and just make layups for days. And the Celtics, I thought, did a very good job of just taking what the defense gave them. Jason Tatum, good basketball player. I don't know, is almost getting a triple-double in the finals. Good, Coley? I have no idea.
Yeah, it's like if he was as bad as the internet would want me to believe, I feel like the Mavs wouldn't keep double and triple teaming him every time he had the ball. Like, how the Celtics stare down Luka with all 10 eyes looking at him is the exact same thing the Mavs are doing to Tatum. They very clearly view him as the same. If he was such a bad shooter, they'd be like, go ahead, have at it. But that's not how they're doing it at all. For some reason, he became very addicted at the end. Like, he wanted to end that game by ripping the rim off. The one he bricked.
He threw it as hard as he could at the rim that ended up in the...
I like Drew Holiday is going to get credit for like 19 different plays in this game, and he deserves credit for all of them. Him catching that ricochet and finding Derek White. Obviously, ESPN doesn't do a great job pumping the crowd noise through the audio, but it sounded like the whole Garden was still very confused at what Tatum did. Like White's 3 already went in. Everyone was like, I guess that was great. And that ended up being a huge shot. They only went by 7 here. Like that could have gone wildly differently if Drew doesn't get that offensive rebound.
Yeah, I mean, Drew made huge plays. Drew and Derek White. Just the sequence down the stretch where I think Drew forced the pass in the backcourt. Luka goes to retrieve it. Luka throws just a lackadaisical pass to Derek White, saves it to Drew, who, of course, knocks down the classic Drew transition 3. The Derek White block after the missed Jalen 3 late in the shot clock to kind of keep the lead at 5. Both those guys I just thought played phenomenal defense tonight. Kyrie Irving was trying to look at the stats now.
Yeah.
On the scoreboard better. He had 16 points, 7 for 18, did not make a 3, but like there were some possessions late where it's just like, all right, we're really doing Kyrie ISOs right now, or giving it to the Gaff man. And it's like, well, where is this Luka Doncic fellow?
Yeah, I mean, Gafford was had a plus minus of 0. He had 13 points. It's like I'm kind of okay. And like if they just want to keep like we've had Tatum guarding their centers the entire series. For some reason, they thought it was a good idea to like try and hunt Tatum defensively. I don't know if Jason Kidd has ever watched the Boston Celtics. Like Jason Tatum is a really good defender. And like, yeah, Luka's going to get his when he does his like one-legged turnaround mid-range shots. Like, sure, we're okay with that. Like that is a tough shot. And in the fourth quarter, when he was throwing them up there, they weren't falling at all. It feels like the Mavs, a lot of their points in the end there were all free throws. It's like, if you don't touch the Mavs, they had a tough time doing any sort of offense that wasn't a Gafford post up. And I'm fine with Daniel Gafford. If they wanted Daniel Gafford post up us to a ring, be my guest. Like, because that's there all game, and they go to it like once or twice a quarter. Go ahead, try and stick
by
with
all means.
Yeah, stick with it. See how that goes.
Coley, you're a basketball scholar, I would say. We have a question from the great Joshua B., legend of this show. He's asking if Drew Holiday and Derek White are the best defensive backcourt of all time. Are you ready to make bold proclamations about all-time teams after 2 finals games?
I have been thinking ever since the win in game 1. I have been like, all right, they like you can't say they're an all-time team until they get at least multiple. Like I'm already on to the second one. Like you got to win 2 or more to be good in these all-time. But just in terms of backcourts, I mean, obviously that Pistons team was stout everywhere. Even if Rip was like the weak link there, Chauncey was so good. I feel like off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of fucking when Ron Harper and Michael Jordan were a backcourt, that's probably better. No offense.
Coley, you're answering this entirely too sincerely. It was just Joshua B trying to talk shit about people claiming that Kyrie and Luka are the greatest offensive backcourt of all time.
No, for
but
sure.
You just went with a sincere answer.
But like I'm trying, like I don't think it's like a crazy question. Like they're in the mix for sure. Like Marcus and Derek White would be the other one that should mean like that one's not far off. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But they just it's like a cliche at this point, but like the Celtics are the best team. It's a team sport, and like I think Jason Tatum did not have a great shooting performance. He missed some shots at the rim. He was phenomenal in facilitating everything. Jaylen Brown also had 7 assists, 4 boards, 21 points. Yeah. Did everything he needed to do. Guarded Luka. Then you have these 2 guys in the backcourt. They didn't even really need like the Kristaps and Al. It's just so wild to me how like sucked into the just individual greatness in terms of like analysis. Like basketball has been a team sport for the entire time. Bill Simmons wrote a whole book about how like the disease of me and like team is like, we've known about this. Right. And it's like, why? And they've been the best team the entire year. I just was so like confusing to me why the analysis went the way it did. And no one seemed to acknowledge that like, oh yeah, they have the best 6 players. And when they're combined together, they create some sort of super group, like a transformer or something.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. The Celtics played like, even though the shots weren't falling, I saw some people being like, oh, that game 1 shooting won't hold. And they genuinely shot their season average from 3 in that game. And then they shot worse tonight and still won by 7. So it's like, what I appreciated about this game is even though the shooting variance wasn't in their favor, they never strayed from how they play. It was a lot of drive and kick. Everyone was touching the ball. The worst possessions were when people weren't touching the ball and people were trying to go ISO, unless it was like on Luka or Kyrie, which has been food. Like, they don't have a counter for that. As long as Luka is going to be on the court, that's like a pretty easy drive and kick opportunity because Dallas is going to send 5 people at whoever gets past them, and then 4 shooters are going to be wide open. Like, I don't know what their counter is there. They tried to X him a little bit. He somehow was one of like the 4 people who hit a 3 in this game. That was
they left him wide open. Some guys, like the laziest stunt at him. I think Jalen took 1 step. It's like, oh, Dante Exum's taking the shot. That's okay.
To be fair, it worked every other time. I need a Kristaps update badly.
He was laboring in the fourth quarter. I can't tell if that was just like injury, fatigue. He did not look good. It was good for Joe to get him out. I think it was like 4.5 minutes left. He put Al back in to seal the deal.
Yeah, I mean, Missoula's for sure out coaching Kid. Like, his timeouts, everyone's been bitching about timeouts for the last year and a half. They've been perfect every time. And yeah, when he put Pritchard in right before on those free throws, right before
that was amazing. 3.3 seconds left.
Yeah, he puts Pritchard in, who's the greatest of all time at end of quarter heaves. And
he has 19 heaves this season that have gone in, I think, 9 threes. Like, that's a wild stat. My brother texted me, how many is this? And I said, as a joke, a baker's dozen, because I thought that there's no way he has 13. And for him to have 19 is absolutely wild. So I love that move from Missoula. And I thought Pritchard came in and gave him like solid minutes. That was anytime Pritchard's on the court, it's nerve-wracking because he's just a smaller fella, and I get worried about him out there. But he's proven me wrong. But I still have this like nervousness in the back of my head.
He didn't go to the locker room. He stayed on the bench and he was stretching with an exercise band. That guy, and I know that question was to you. I apologize for cutting you off on your own show.
No, you got the information I didn't have.
Pritchard played a full quarter's worth of minutes tonight. He played 12 minutes. He was a +4. Pritchard, Dallas tried to go at him on consecutive plays, and he stonewalled Luka. Luka was short in the mid-range, and he stonewalled Kyrie the other play. Like Pritchard is forged. He was drafted by Danny Ainge, who loves that kind of player. And then he was forged by Marcus Smart, Drew Holiday, Derek White, and Jaylen Brown. Like, he's not afraid of anybody. Now, is he going to get a stop every time? No, of course not. But even you saw with Hauser, like, Drew said it after game 1. He was like, our whites play defense. And yeah, they do. All of them do. They have to. Otherwise, they'd never see the court.
And he had I do have in my notes, Pritchard is the Luka stopper. That may be a bit much. Luka slower downer, but then he also just make like this. I was about to call it a scrappy play, and I realized that is coded language, and I don't mean to do that. I caught myself, but just it was like a late double. He poked the ball away from Luka, and it led to an easy fast break. Like, he's just giving maximum effort the entire time. And I just want to get back to the classic Brad Stevens, Joe Mazzulla's like process over results. And I thought the Celtics, Jason Tatum fucked up once, where he took like a fadeaway jumper and it was
wide open in the corner.
And it was like, but that was the one time where it was like, he's not going to drive and kick and find the right guy. And I think he's obviously didn't make some of the layups you would want him to make, but the man had 12 assists. And the way the Mavericks were guarding, I thought the Celtics did a good job of just like, all right, we're going to put Drew or whoever Kyrie's man is in the dunker spot. And that help defender is going to be Kyrie. I think you would want maybe Tatum to finish over Kyrie. He did have like that one dunk attempt where Kyrie fouled them, but there was just easy offense for them in that, especially in the first half when they weren't knocking down threes. And I just think they deserve a lot of credit for like sticking to that process and being like, if this is what you're going to give us, we're going to keep scoring. We're going to keep the game close. Luka can go off and get his 20 points in the first half, but like, we're still going to be up 3 because we're going to stick to the process the entire time. And so I just think they like Mazzulla and the entire team deserve a lot of credit for like just playing the right way, basically for the whole game.
Yeah. I mean, Dallas, it's going to be hard for them. Like, they were winning these games against Oklahoma City. Like, this is how they want to play. And it's just not, I won't say it's not working, but it really isn't. Like, the Celtics were just missing open threes. I understand a couple of them were contested. Some of them were rushed. I know Kristaps took a rush 3 just because he was like, all right, Luke is near me and I want to hit one in his face. But it's just missed open threes. So that's why it's like, yeah, we hit 2 heaves. Derek White also had that one coming out of the timeout where they were trying to post. That was maybe the best defense Kyrie's played when Kristaps tried to post him. Kyrie just denied him the ball. And Derek White's one dribble 3 where he pretends he's going to pass is maybe our most lethal shot. That goes in all the time. But it's like, so we hit that heave, we hit the Pritchard heave. So I'm sure a lot of Dallas fans and journalists and whatnot are like, oh, well, if you move those 2, it's only a 1-point game, things go differently. Yeah, if we hit 1 or 2 of the 19 wide open threes we missed, it's the same situation. So it's that's not going to happen the next, like, heaves won't happen, and the bricking open shots isn't going to happen.
Yeah, and it's tough to see how the Mavericks, in terms of just like process wise, generate more points. Like, is Luka going to have to score 50? Like, Kyrie and Luka need to combine for 70 points, and we just haven't seen Kyrie Irving. Like, I think they can do that if Luka scores 50 and Kyrie scores 20. But there was like stretches in the game where we saw Luka come out and it was just like, we're okay, it's Kyrie's Irving team, and he just wasn't. If he's not knocking down open shots. Yeah, I mean, he clearly made more of an effort tonight, 7 for 18, but like, he just, it feels like there's threes there. I don't know what more the Mavericks can necessarily do. I think they play like Luka. Luka basically needs to have the exact same first half he did and have it in the second half. But even so, it's what the Celtics were 25% from 3 tonight, and right. So I think it's still a math problem. Missoula math is still leaving. Thank you, Patrick Anderson. Joe Maz said he has zero concern for Kristaps. Although Missoula's riding high on adrenaline right now. You can't take anything he says.
Yeah, he's also a liar. Everything he says. Like, I'm surprised he even answered it directly. So, yeah, we'll see.
I'm surprised he's not fighting Kristaps in the back right now. We don't know what's going on with Joe Mazzulla. I did love that there was some quote where he said, I think Hauser was talking, and he said, yeah, Mazzulla will bring up anything. He was talking about like one thing, and he was talking about how orca whales hunt seals, and that's how we got to play defense. It's like, oh, Joe Mazzulla, you can draw inspiration from anything. What a beautiful mad genius.
If Kristaps for some reason can't play game 3, like, I don't think he's done for the series by any stretch, but if he can't, I'll knock on wood, if he can't play game 3, I do think Tillman can play in this series, and Cornette to an extent too, not necessarily the lively minutes, but the Gafford minutes. Yeah, go ahead and try and post up Tillman, like, please. Like, I'm fine with that. And yeah, Tatum won't be able to play the 5 then. Okay, that's fine. Put him on Josh Green or whatever non-factor they have out there.
My only concern about those bigs is that it allows Dallas to kind of play the defensive style that they've played the entire playoffs, of just giving them a guy they can sink off of entirely and just like throw a lot of help. Maybe Tillman can launch corner threes. Maybe they just go smaller there and then it's like more O'Shea Brissett. But
yeah, it could be O'Shea. But I also don't think if you just put Tillman in that dunker spot instead of Drew, like, okay, then he's going to be open and he'll actually just dunk it. Like, I think that works too.
I would hope so. But one thing about having Drew in the dunker spot, it has a much smaller help defender there because they've been drawing the big out to the perimeter. And like, but it's just wild how much they can attack. Like, it seemed like every drive started with just driving on Luka Doncic. And to be fair, he did get wrapped up by the most amount of like wrapping gauze I've ever seen on a man. It was performative rap, and Nick Wright was just there in the background, flabbergasted because his pick of Mavericks in 5 was going down. That was kind of wild to see. How he didn't seem hurt.
No, I tweeted it during the game, and I'm mostly talking shit, but he, especially more in game 1, when he misses a shot, he's limping all over the place. When he hits a shot, he's talking shit to Wick. He's talking shit to the fans. He's talking shit all over the place. So yeah, it's very Embiid-ish of him.
Oh yeah, well, he not as much of a floor bead situation. He's very much stayed vertical, but it really was noticeable like how little he was, I guess, calling for the ball in the second half, especially down the stretch. They came out of timeout and they let him get a wide open 3, which I did not think.
Yeah, I didn't care for that at all. That was terrible.
Didn't care for that, but it didn't feel like they were really playing through him after the man was like very solid in the first half. So that was like, I don't know if that's an injury or a fatigue type thing, but I was like, I'm confused as to why you go away from your best player who's supposedly the one who's going to lead you to victory.
Well, Kid's been trying to steal him like a ton of rest at the end of these quarters. He's taken him out with like 3.5, 4 minutes. And he did that to end the third. And that's when Boston pushed it to 14, 13, something like that. And that was the timeout. He put him back in to close the third. So Luka didn't even get his like full allotment of rest that he needed. But yeah, if Luka's only going to play 8 minutes a quarter, especially for those first 3 quarters, yeah, the Celtics really should be up 10 to 15. The Mavs not being up with the Celtics playing so poorly, or shooting so poorly. Like even in the first quarter, the Celtics have felt like had 6 points forever. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, we're tied at 22. Like it just, they never were able to pull away. And that's credit to the Celtics defense, because when a lot of teams fuck up offensively, they just start walking back, not doing everything right defensively. The Celtics have been so locked in defensively, and I give Jalen and Drew a lot of credit for that. And Tatum.
Yeah.
Tatum's done a tremendous job.
And I think, like, the Celtics get credit for also staying in the game and just draw. Like, there's a 3 consecutive possessions in the first quarter that Tatum, I think, drew a foul. And then for the final 5 minutes of the first quarter, they're in the bonus. And so they get to the free throw line a bunch of times. I think it was 10-2 after the first quarter. Same thing happened in the third quarter when they kind of were able to extend that lead. They drew a bunch of fouls and got to the free throw line and were able to get kind of easy baskets that way. And Mazzulla talks all the time about the margins. If you're not going to win the 3-point margin, you better fucking win the other margins. And I think the Celtics did a good job of, it's like it was even on offensive rebounding. It felt like the Celtics did a great job of getting to the free throw line and then just creating a bunch of opportunities in transition. It's like they did decide to occasionally trap Luka. Sometimes they beat them, but they created some steals. Luka threw the ball all over the place.
He had a couple crazy ones.
A gift. Just like a one where just like,
yeah, the pop fly. The pop fly. Well, that was him. He was trying to foul bait, and I don't even blame him because the refs have been so inconsistent with what they're calling. Yeah, Tatum was everywhere tonight. His defense was very underrated. I'm just looking at the box score now. The Celtics had more assists, 29-21, more steals, 10-5. Fouls, for all the Mavs fans chirping about fouls, they called 17 on Dallas, 15 on Boston. Like, that's as even as it gets. The free throws were, Mavs shot 24 free throws to the Celtics 20. So I don't even know what people are talking about anymore. The Celtics just hit theirs.
Yeah, I mean, how many did Luka miss tonight? He was 4 of 8 from the free throw line, which is wild because he's such a good scorer. You should not, and he's never been a great free throw shooter.
No, he's awful. Like he shot the tech or the defensive 3 seconds, and it was like, what? I saw someone tweet like letting him. Every team lets their best player shoot those, and it's always never made sense. Like
just let Kyrie do it, like the silkiest, smoothest like free throw shooter I've ever seen.
Well, I can understand not wanting to put Kyrie like on an island in Boston like that, but Jose 3030 tweeted out the screenshot from ESPN. Luka, the first 3 quarters through games 1 and 2, 22 of 37, 8 of 18 from 3, 10 assists to 9 turnovers. So that's not even great either. But in the fourth quarter, 2 of 10 from the floor, 0 of 3 from 3, 2 to 3 assists to turnovers. Like, keep every possession that doesn't get him in the action in some way, any defensive possession for the Mavs where he's allowed to stand still the entire time. I don't care if we score on it. That's a bad possession by us. You got to keep him moving because clearly he's running on E. If you allow him to disengage on defense, that's where he gets to catch his breath.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for the articles about how Luka is not clutch, how he's not a top 5 player because he doesn't show up in the fourth quarter. But maybe I'm just some wishful thinking here. Coley, we any last thoughts before we depart level 9 up here? Yeah,
my question to you is like, the Mavs have to go 4-1 to win the ring. How could they do that? Because I'm genuinely trying to think about it. I don't think there's a fucking chance. The Celtics haven't gone 1-4 all season. You know what I mean? I know that's not how the finals work. Each game is individual. I understand that. I just don't see a world, again, knock on wood, where the Celtics are going to go 1-4 over these next 5 games.
And it has to be 4 70-plus points performances from Luka and Kyrie, and we haven't seen any indication that is possible. I think they could do it once. They might even be able to do it twice if they do it like another time where the Celtics shoot this poorly from three. But even if they do that, the Celtics could even beat that performance if they shoot like a 40% from three in one of these games. If the Celtics shoot 40% from three, they're just not going to lose. And so it's going to be very interesting. I'll close on this. Very proud of the Celtics for taking care of home court. I didn't think they were going to do it. Play 2 huge games in the Garden and win big in the first one and like have a bad shooting night in the second one and still find out a way to pull out the close game. Because they haven't lost a road game this entire playoffs.
No, they haven't. They didn't crack 30 points in a single quarter. Only one guy or two guys, Jalen got over 20 at the end, but it was like, 5 guys plus 12 points. Defense everywhere. That they say they hang their hat on the defensive end if they're going to keep holding the Mavericks. I also love the Mavericks fake. Oh, we're going to like run with pace now. We just played the fucking Pacers. You guys are slow as shit compared to the Pacers. Like you're not fooling anybody, Dallas. What are you doing?
Well, I think like the whole Dallas' offensive strategy just like plays into what the Celtics do best. If you've watched the Celtics this year, the Celtics are worse defensively when there's so much motion and there's a lot of stuff going on off ball. That's not what the Mavericks do whatsoever. It's basically just ISO. It's a lot of like what the Celtics got accused of doing in like the past 2 seasons, where it's just like it's all ISO basketball. But somehow there's like that's literally all they do, and that's like when the Celtics can do are at their best defensively. And so it's going to be tough to see how the Mavericks can pull it off, but job's not finished. Still got 2 more to go. 14 of 16, 2 more to go. The Mick Man from Underdog Fantasy, from Section 10, from Third Time's the Charm, from the Trill Wither Show, RIP. We appreciate you joining us. For all the people watching live, and if you're not subscribed to Still Poddable on Patreon, you're an idiot. Go to patreon.com/stillpoddable. Become a kid, a god, or a legend today. Oh, I guess I should have had a better outro than that. We're going to end the podcast now, Sean.
Still Poddable, still Poddable. Still Poddable, still Poddable.
Oh, yeah.
Go down from eating and drinking and all that wild stuff.